It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
Good morning. Man, we got some things to get into today. Less than an hour from now, we're going to play a game, NHL Spelling Bee. We're going to give away Wild versus Detroit tickets. At about 8:20, Greg Harris, president of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, will join us on the show. But right now, as it is just about 6, how about the top 5 at 6? 5 stories we're all fairly certain you need to know. Number 1, I should say number 5. First is number 5. 5th is number 1. Don't try to keep up with this. It makes no sense. Number 5 on your top 5 at 6. The Four Nations final tonight. The U.S. versus Canada in Boston.
Yeah.
It is the hottest ticket this year in sports, as in more expensive to get good seats than the Super Bowl. $1,000 minimum just to get in to the TD Garden in Boston. If you want to be on the glass, boy, you better come heavy, as they say. The Canadians, what's that?
Drunk?
Yeah, well, that's a given.
Yeah.
The Canadians, with the win over Finland Monday night, got into the finals. The U.S. was already there. Here's the deal. This is going to be very, 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 very intense. The crowd, what a great place to have the game, too. Boston, of all places.
Yeah.
A bunch of hockey fans who want nothing more than to throw hook at each other anyway. So it's going to go nuts. Look, every time we score off against, I love Canada. I got a lot of great friends from Canada. I've had wonderful memories there. I have no interest in making them the 51st state. I'm not a fan of the recent trade war, but all that said, let's kick some Canuck ass, boys. Let's just grind them into the ice. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm excited, right? I'm excited about this. Here's the thing. It's a Four-Nation face-off. It's just, sort of a...
Meaningless.
It's meaningless, right?
Yeah.
I guess. I know it's like a great one-night stand. And you think, now I want it to be more than a one-night stand. And then you get back together again and go, oh, what happened? We weren't the same amount of drunk. It just was that we're missing that magic. So I don't know if I'm as excited about tonight's game. It's in Boston. I'll watch it, of course. But that first one was so climatic. The start, and then we end up winning the game and the whole thing. And now I'm kind of thinking, well, what is it? We already did it. I
guarantee you right now, representatives for both teams are saying, well, we certainly hope there's no fights tonight, which is just assuring that there will be fights. The goal is to beat 3 in the opening 9 seconds. Can we get 4 fights in the opening 9 seconds, guys? Come on. We can do this.
You know what I'd like that Boston crowd to get together with that Montreal crowd. I'd like to see those two go face. Yeah, that would be fun. Just a mob against Boston mob against a Montreal mob.
Yeah, meet at some weird border town in Vermont and just 12,000 on 12,000. Let's make it happen.
I love it. Yeah.
Number 4 on your top 5 at 6. If you're sitting up late tonight and you're watching that hockey game, and then at some point you decide to order a pizza, at some point tomorrow you're going to say, I still have some pizza left over, don't I? Mm-hmm. And how do you reheat your leftover pizza? For me, more often than not, I don't. I like cold pizza because
it's a delicacy.
And it's also because anytime I try to reheat pizza, I mess it up. However, there's a viral video on TikTok that is offering a whole new suggestion, which I've never heard, that apparently this is the perfect way to reheat pizza. Let's listen.
The best way to reheat your pizza. If you dunk your pizza in water before air frying or microwaving it, it turns out just as fresh as when you bought it. Let's dunk it into the water, now into the air fryer. All right, I put it in for 3 minutes. It's definitely feeling crispier on the crust. Let's do a taste test. It tastes exactly how it tasted last night.
Oh, you beautiful influencer, you. All right, I'm intrigued. I mean, I might put this to the test. Well, I can't tonight. It would be tomorrow, right? I'll order the pizza tonight and then try it tomorrow. Like you. Now, do you go cold, refrigerator cold, or countertop cold? What's your
depends
preference?
on the time passed. I mean, if it's just a few hours later, it's probably still sitting there. But if I wake up and it's been sitting on the counter all night, overnight, I generally think I don't want to mess with that. Sensitive. As I age, I don't have the iron stomach of my younger years.
Yeah, no, I get it, man. I poison myself like every couple of months. It happens all the time. But with the box closed, I think. I don't know. I'm very intrigued because, you can't put it just in the microwave and nuke it for 30 seconds. The tip gets hot. The middle is still cold. The crust gets a little rubbery. The air fryer is a good option. Dries out pretty quick. I'm going to put this to the test. This is breaking news. This is the most exciting thing I've heard in the last 24 years.
Just watching someone dunk a piece of pizza in a bowl of water, it's troubling. But if it works, it works. Number 3 on your top 5 at 6. February, according to new data from the Consumer Product Safety Commission, February is the month where you have the second highest likelihood of going to the hospital with a sex injury.
Yeah.
Is it all the Valentine's Day shenanigans?
It's the
cabin fever, right? With the cold weather.
Yeah.
You're willing to experiment a little bit. You're losing your mind. Yeah, Valentine's is in the air still a little bit, I think. And it's time to experiment.
Is December number 1?
No. July is actually number 1, and I think it's the inverse. It's the reverse. It's like there's so much heat, you get jungle fever. You just lose your mind. And then in February, there's so much cold, you get cabin fever. Take your pick. Either way, you're gonna figure out the only way I can keep myself from crawling out of my skin is to go knock the nickels out of the closest person to me. And then these are the sort of things that happen. The 5 most common types of sex injuries in hospitals. Number 1. Getting something stuck somewhere in your body. Yeah. Number 2, cuts. Cuts. Yeah, I'm not. Number 3, rug burns, rope burns, and other abrasions. That makes sense. Number 4, strains and sprains.
Oh, yeah.
And then number 5, internal organ injuries.
What the hell?
Oh.
So, like the song says, 2 out of 5 ain't bad, I suppose. Rug burns, rope burns, other abrasions, strains, and sprains. Okay, I can cop to those. Cuts, stuck in the body, and internal organ injuries. As far as I know, none of those have happened.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking of my buddy Kirk, and I know he's listening out there. And so if you work with someone named Kirk, ask him about the time his sex swing broke.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, Kirk, one of my buddies, he's in the sex swing. He's with his boyfriend, and he's telling us about it, and it breaks, whammo, on the floor. Might have got an internal organ injury out of that. He said mostly a tailbone injury, but it did kill the mood, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just a little bit.
That checks out. That totally checks out. Number 2 in your top 5 at 6, Kirk. Ozzy Osbourne, from the minute he launched a solo career, against all odds, the guy had been fired from Black Sabbath. They badmouthed him. The world thought there's no way this guy's ever going to get it together. You have to give a tremendous amount of credit to his wife and manager, Sharon Osbourne. She has been phenomenally aggressive, very calculating, and delivered to him one of the great solo careers after starting in a band in rock history. I mean, Sharon is a legend. However, she has made a mistake along the way and recently revealed what she says is her biggest mistake ever managing Ozzy's career. Here's Sharon Osbourne.
Do you want to know the biggest mistake I ever made with Ozzy? He got offered to go and read for Pirates of the Caribbean. And I've never said this to anyone. I said no. Now, wouldn't he have been perfect?
He would have been perfect.
I know.
Oh, yeah. Well, you win some, you lose some, I guess.
Captain Teague, the character, ultimately played by Keith Richards. Sharon says, Ozzy would have been great at that.
Well, let's listen and see if he would have been.
I'm Captain Jack Sparrow.
I'm Ozzy Osbourne, and I'm the Prince of Darkness.
I'm Peaky Peaky. I'm Mincy Wincy.
You have to eat other things in order to get that, you know what I mean?
Have you now?
I know you're full on the phone for being a bad boy.
But why is the rum gone?
You blew the show again!
Say lom shup shup shah, smarmy lom the shuku. Bollicky licky, savvy?
Yeah, I don't know.
I can see it.
Maybe.
He could have pulled it off. I don't think the budget would have allowed for the days it would have taken to get all of his lines down. And by the way, we're talking about a film their budgets were like $1 billion. It would have gone over. It would have gone way over. I don't think, it's weird. Think about this. What does it say about you when they brought in Keith Richards because they had to keep it on a tight schedule?
Right.
Just myself. I don't know that. I'm just saying. Keith went in. He did just fine. But obviously, Ozzy would have been. You know what? How about Keith and Ozzy? How about Captain Teague and Captain Teague's even more evil twin? That would have been fun. Hey, good morning to our friends in Hudson, Wisconsin. Right over there in Hudson. Come on. What do you got for us, Hudson? Give us some love. We're happy to have you.
You don't have to cross the river to go to a Keys Cafe. Obviously, it's in Minnesota. But the one in Hudson, I don't know if you guys have been over there or not. Is it on Carmichael? I'm trying to remember now. But that's a cool place. I like that Keys. I like all the Keys. Now I'm thinking about breakfast. Should we get out of here and go freaking have breakfast at Keys right now?
Sure.
Hey, man, I've been rocking the Keys since the early 90s. I discovered that just on my own in Minneapolis once. And no, I will strap on a feed bag anytime you like. Number 1 on your top 5 at 6. Delta Airlines is offering passengers that were on Flight 4819 from Minneapolis, the one that crashed in Toronto the other day. You remember the one that crashed upon landing and flipped over. Everybody on that passenger, 76 of them, are being offered $30,000 cash. Along with this offer, Delta says this has no strings attached and does not affect the rights.
I don't buy it.
Yeah, every personal injury lawyer in America is going, wait, call 1-800. Let's stick it up their tail fin.
Yo, I was just on this plane.
Yeah.
I don't remember an airline ever doing anything like this.
Right?
But, I think, you know what? Let's just stay optimistic for a moment until we hear otherwise. At least it's something. Because when's the last time an airline just got right out in front of it and said, hey, you know what? If this doesn't affect future rights to take action against the airline and they're just going to say, here's 30 large, then I can't believe I'm saying this to a giant corporation. Hey, well played. At least it's something.
Yeah, I'm going to say we'll played.
See.
At least it's something. And it should come with you can't sue them. Because why the hell would you give someone $30,000 if they're going to turn around and sue you? You get on a plane, it's an aluminum can. It flies at 35,000 feet through the air. Sometimes they crash, and you hold them responsible. But if you get the $30K, get out of here. Go have a good time. You're not going to. Don't come back and sue.
Well, I'm just saying.
Not to you, but I'm just saying. In general, they'll have a thing. They're not going to give you $30,000 and say, and then have your lawyer give us a call.
I think that you would have a hard time winning that case is where I was going to go with that because somewhere in that e-ticket you bought there's some sort of ones and zeros fine code on that email that says something that we don't want to know about. But that's a story for another day. That's Conspiracy Steve's story. Let's just keep it. Let's just keep it on the up and up for Thursday, February the 20th. That's going to do it for your top 5 at 6. I've been to Japan a few times, and like anybody that's ever been, you're blown away by the level of hospitality. Anywhere you go, I mean, not just a hotel or a restaurant, but I mean, my God, getting on the subway, the people that work there, taxi drivers, it is all about world-class customer service. So this really jumped off the grid in the city of Kyoto, a ramen restaurant, noodle restaurant, has a little bit of an issue going on. A customer came in, had a meal, and then went to Yelp and posted a 1-star review. He criticized the restaurant's customer service and their food.
Oh.
We go into a restaurant, we don't like it, and some of us who are what I call dorks get on Yelp and bitch.
Sure.
But this is but the restaurant responded as following. From the owner of the restaurant, this was his comment. If you write a stupid review, we'll find you. We'll beat you up. I saw your post. Okay, you seem weird. We try not to treat people like you as customers, but you should probably avoid eating out. Again, this is the owner continuing. Someday, someone like you will get screwed. I don't care. Just come directly and I'll deal with you. We run a planned business. So if you get in our way, we'll get in your way too. And then he went on to offer a cash reward for anybody who would offer this guy's personal details or track them down themselves and take action against them. He literally launches a manhunt against a guy who left a bad review. How about that?
I fantastic. I would eat there.
I have one last comment from the owner. Here's the cherry on top. The only thing this customer can do is come back, eat again, and write a good review with a photo. I won't forgive him otherwise, not even for the safety of his family.
No soup for you.
Wow.
Aren't you scared to go back if you're this customer? Like, how are you ever going to do? I'm staying away forever.
Hell yeah, he is.
Got to be another place to eat. And where was this at? Tokyo?
This is in Kyoto, not Tokyo, another
same
city.
thing.
There are a couple other ramen spots around the country you can find. I'm pretty sure. That said, but you know what? This is just the inevitable boiling over after a lifetime of what we all are old enough to remember when if you had a problem and you didn't address it in person, it was over.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't have a chance. And now the internet has given all, the keyboard warriors amongst us, your noodles suck. I think it's high time people started clapping back like this. I'm all for it.
I mean, I like it. I get accused of this every once in a while. I get a little chippy if somebody's, critical.
You?
No. Well, hey, it's not just in Japan. I don't know. There was a story here a few years ago. There was, it was Brows by Victoria is what I remember. So it was one of these places you go in and, and some lady left a poor review and said, I didn't like the way they did my eyebrows, I guess. And she received on, right there, here it is, I found it, right there on the review from the owner. The response was, you ugly bitch with an effed up nose.
Wow.
When I catch you, I'm going to punch you right in your face.
Okay.
You look like a drug addict. You're fat. You're ugly. Probably a housewife. And if you don't take down your review, I know where you live and I know where you work.
Probably a housewife.
Yeah, well.
I tell you what, she's covering a lot of ground. I mean, she's multitasking like no one I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's very impressive. All that and time to leave a bad review. Wow.
Yeah. Wow,
she did. The eyebrow person went back and apologized, or the owner of the shop?
The owner of the shop did come back and apologize, according to this right now.
All right.
Man, well, see, all's well that ends well, I guess.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock, 92 KQRS.
Thursday, February the 20th, which is exactly 5 days before the Detroit Red Wings come to town to play the Minnesota Wild. We've got tickets. We want to give them away. And right now we got some callers lined up to play NHL Spelling Bee. I'm going to give you 3 last names of current NHL players, or actually a few formers in there as well. Most of them current. If you spell 3 names in a row correctly, the surname that is, then you will win the tickets. We're just going to rock right through this list. Good luck to everyone on hold. Let's get it started. Contestant number 1, Jill in New Brighton. Jill, good morning.
Good morning.
Are you ready to spell?
I think so.
All right, your first name, Connor Hellebuck. How do you spell Hellebuck?
Hellebuck. Hellebuyck. Hellebuck.
Yeah, right on.
What the hell?
Really strong, Jill. All right, Jewel Erickson Eck. Erickson Eck.
Ooh. Erickson Eck. ERIK. Two S's. SSON. And then capital EK.
Jill is rocking it. All right, last one, Jill. The former player Mark Messier. Messier.
Let's see. M-E... Messier.
I know. Google takes so long.
I'm not Googling.
I know you're not. You're smart. I'm Googling it. I don't know how to spell these names.
M-E-S-S. Messier.
I'm going to put the timer on.
I-E-R. I-E-R. It's like French or something. I-E-R is Canadian.
Sorry, there it is. I mean, but Jill, you came in strong right out of the gate and went 3 for 3. Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's it. You just won the tickets.
Dude.
Man. I mean, I was thinking we were going to get to everybody else on this one, but no, that was a tough one. Hellebuck, Erickson Eck, and Messier. Bing, bang, boom. All right, Jill, you got tickets for Tuesday night at home against the Detroit Red Wings. Way to go.
She's excited.
Is she mad at me because I accused her of Googling? These are impossible. I didn't think anyone was going to get these. I'm like, 3 in a row, Ryder. You're busting our butts here, But, Jill, we have smart listeners. I knew it.
We have some listeners who are pretty big hockey fans. So
hell yeah, we do.
Yeah, I guarantee you, she just closed her eyes every time, and she saw those jerseys skating by, and she heard herself cussing their names. well, not the guys on the Wild, of course, but Messi. Yeah. She's like, oh, that bum. I remember him. Rangers 94. I hate that team. All right, listen. That's a great win. Maybe we'll have some more tickets later. Who knows? I don't know. Not today, but down the road. I do know that in about an hour, we're going to be speaking with Greg Harris, the president and CEO of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We'll discuss this year's nominations. And as you know, we spend most of the morning just knocking around a bunch of nonsense. Occasionally, we want to share some information with you and talk about things that actually matter. And with that in mind, Zepp wants to share a little something.
Thanks, Steve. I appreciate it. I want to mention a KQ listener since day one, in fact, to his last day, which was unfortunately recently, Mike Litzow. Just a good old Minnesota boy with the best sense of humor and much loved by many, including myself and Maria. Heard from a lot of people this past week, remembering a life well lived and far too short. So if there are cars in heaven, Mike, put one on its roof. Rest in peace. Thank you.
Yeah, right on, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Godspeed, Mike. Let's see what else we have to talk about today. How about this? A gentleman from Rockford, Michigan, named Harrison Jones, has been arrested for setting a fire, which is not cool. Arson's never a good idea. He didn't set that fire. No, I mean, not usually. Right. He did not set that fire in Rockford, Michigan, Ryder. Okay. He set that fire in Bensalem, Pennsylvania. Or is it Bensalem? I'm not sure. Pennsylvania to Michigan, the map tells me, that's 700 miles away. He drove 700 miles, 11 hours, bang, set fire to a home, got right back in his car and drove home. Whose home was it? It was just some dude that Harrison Jones heard may have been speaking to his ex-girlfriend.
Oh, man.
It's Heartbreak Hotel up in here. Damn it, Elvis, leave us alone.
Yeah, it's tough.
Break up with a girl, and then you hear she's on the phone with a guy in Pennsylvania, and you hop in the car for a 700-mile arson spree. There's a little bit of local news with some insight here. Dude, Harrison, buddy, come on now. Come on. Get a gummy in you. Take a deep breath. This is a little over the top.
This is a family's worst nightmare, to be asleep in their home, not knowing that a stranger broke into their home and attempted to take their lives by setting their home on fire.
Smoke is seen coming from the rear of the property and an explosion of fire. He drove over 730 miles, 11 hours, to do what he did, and then drove directly back home.
Crime of passion. I just feel like 700 miles is plenty of time to go, I'm not going to really do this. Right, exactly. I mean, we think most of us maybe get out to the driveway. I'm trying to think of being in some positions. I remember actually sitting at a bar. I think it was Gabby's bar one night, and I had just broken up with someone who I thought desperately in love with, and it was just gut-wrenching, it just physically hurt. And I'm sitting there at the bar, and one of my buddies looks at me and he goes, would it be cool if I asked her out? And there, just for a microsecond, I thought, I don't know what it's going to cost you, about 6 teeth right now.
Wow.
But I didn't, I slammed the rest of my whiskey water and said, yeah, sure. Why don't you go ahead, buddy? 700 miles, and you're just still as worked up to apparently set a bomb off in these people's place.
Yeah. He knew what he was doing. Intentionally set, incendiary in nature. There was nearby home surveillance, which I assume means like a Ring camera. They saw his car. He jumps out, runs towards the resident. 15 minutes later, runs back to his car, and an explosion happens under this house. Now, there were, as you heard on that report, 6 people in the house, all of whom were taken to the hospital with various injuries. None life-threatening, but 6 people hospitalized. This is completely over the top. I'm just seeing now a press release. NASA wants us to know he is not an astronaut.
No, that's right.
Because we all remember Lisa Nowak, the woman who put on some NASA-approved maximum absorption garments astronaut diapers on her 950-mile drive from Houston to Orlando to confront her lover's girlfriend, her ex-lover's girlfriend, a U.S. Air Force engineer. An astronaut put on diapers and drove almost 1,000 miles to confront an Air Force engineer. Now that's tainted love right there. That's ooh boy, some people really, really, really just gotta take a deep breath.
Have any of us really loved? I feel like I'm kind of missing out on something here. I've never loved that much. I don't even have time to pull over. I'm in such passionate rage.
Yeah, I was going to say,
on the diaper.
I've never loved anyone that can keep me from taking a dump. I can tell you that right now. I'm sorry. I can be heartbroken, but nature's going to call, and I'm going to respond to that call appropriately.
I think somewhere when the rash starts to set in, and the burning and the itching, I'm thinking to myself, oh, this isn't worth it. No one's worth this. But like I said, I've never really loved this deeply, I guess. That's some crazy people out there. And the irony of this is people flock to these people when they end up in jail.
Yeah.
When they do something psycho like this and they go to jail, they receive all sorts of love letters. People respond to this kind of psycho behavior, so I don't think she probably will. Not going to win her back, bro.
I don't think so. 651-999-ROCK is the KQ talk and text line. I hope we're not talking about arson, but if you look back, if you've ever done anything kind of crazy involving an ex, if you ever had a moment where you look back now and go, oh, yeah, I kind of took that one a little too far. I broke up. I dated a girl in college for almost 3 hours. Almost 3 hours. Almost 3 years. Listen to me. Almost 3 years.
Very Freudian slip.
Yeah, it was. Tells you where about 3 years. And we broke up. And as adult a breakup as you can. We both realized, okay, we're done here. It's all good. We're happy. And a couple days later, a buddy of mine said, hey, I just saw Kathy in the student center. She was talking to that swimmer, that guy. The guy on my campus was known. There was one All-American swimmer whose name I'm not going to share, Dan Powell. And I said, she's talking to him right now. And I this is a girl I was happy to be broken up with. And I turned, and my buddy thought I was running shtick because he laughed. He goes, go kick his ass. And I walked into the student center to go kick his ass. And the thing I failed to recognize was that if you're an All-American swimmer, you're at least my height and in way better shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was probably 6'4", in fact, and he had those shoulders. He had that Michael Phelps freak build. Yeah, and I actually saw him. Everyone knew who he was. He was famous, and there he was, walking away from my ex-girlfriend, and I walked right by him and just almost looked him in the eye.
Well, at least it wasn't like the chubby chess champion on campus or something like that. It was All-American, I don't know if that helps or not. I've done the thing I think I said not long ago. In fact, the same gal that I broke up with, all the heartbreak, I remember wondering, what is she doing? How you drive past the house. I actually sat across the street in a park under a pine tree in the middle of the night, just looking, because she had a big old window, and I know it's creepy and it's bad. I didn't try to burn down the apartment building. My Bic was out of fluid that night. I just kept it. It was winter, it just wouldn't. No, I wouldn't do that. But I did have one time a gal took a ball peen hammer and smashed in the tank of my motorcycle while I was at work. I got home, there was the motorcycle sitting out there in the alley. I lived in an apartment building off Nicollet at the time, and I get home and it's all smashed in and leaves the ball peen hammer there. My ball peen hammer, by the way.
That's the worst.
Yeah, because she still had a key to the place, and so I walked in. Didn't trash the place, just the motorcycle, and then gave her a call, and she said, I'm so sorry. Do you want to get back together? I'm like, what? You're lucky it was a Kawasaki.
Yeah, and you're lucky she wasn't Irish. That would have been your kneecap, not your gas tank.
I know.
651-989-ROCK, KQ Talk and Text line. Let's look back. Be honest. When did you cross the line? What happened? Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock, 92 KQRS.
We were talking about a gentleman in Michigan who decided he wasn't going to take it anymore. Harrison Jones of Rockford, Michigan, broke up with his girlfriend, found out she was talking to another guy, and he said, by God, I'm going to go to that other guy's house, and I'm going to burn it down. The fact that guy lives 700 miles away in Pennsylvania did not thwart him. He did just that. That's going a little past the line. That's crossing the Rubicon. He'll spend many, many, many years in prison. He burned down a house that had 6 people in it. They all escaped with their lives.
Yeah.
But, sometimes when you get your heart broken, the world finds out that you're actually a sociopath. You're just looking for an excuse to unleash the sociopathy upon other more clear-headed citizens.
Yeah, and he's a kind of a pretty boy looking at him. Looks like he'd be like a high school hockey player or something, but we'll see how he likes being a girlfriend in prison. Maybe it's, not all it's cracked up to be.
This reminds me of a story I just read the other day. A woman was arrested. She was caught filling up her ex-boyfriend's gas tank of his car. She was pouring Coke Zero into his gas tank. But then also there was another something in there, and it turns out, she said, these are pre-sucked Skittles I'm adding as well.
Right.
Okay, not
because you wouldn't want him to get the flavor from those.
No, not at all. And I mean, if he sees them, he'll be like, "Oh my God, I can tell she already sucked those." Pre-sucked Skittles, her words, and Coke Zero into the gas tank. I've heard of. I know about putting sugar into a gas tank of a vehicle if you want to do some serious damage. Pre-sucked Skittles and Coke Zero. Not sure what happens.
No, and I don't know how we know. Just we're taking her word for it, I guess. Not like a Mentos and the Coke, and then people thought it would explode or something. I don't remember what the whole thing was with the Mentos and the Coke.
Yeah, you weren't supposed to put a Mentos in your mouth with Coke because then your head was going to explode was the deal. That's what they told all the kids in the 90s.
Just put a period after that mouth. Never put a Mentos in your mouth. What are you doing?
That. Well, when we were kids, it was one of two things. Same product, different brands. Space Dust or Pop Rocks. Those things you would put in your mouth. And the word on the street was if you we had Space Dust. Put Space Dust and take a sip of Coke, and you're done. You'll explode like scanners.
Yeah, those Space Rocks. That's for oral sex, I thought.
Oh, is that?
That was the big thing, yeah. That was the big rumor going around. Did you hear about so-and-so? Yeah, she went down on so-and-so with Pop Rocks or whatever, and it was crazy.
I'm remembering hearing
that stuff?
These same urban legends,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that just add it to the list of things that happened everywhere but my school.
Yeah, no, I never even got around to it, and I'm the curious, creative type in the sack, I think anyway, daring anyway. And I thought, I never got around to the Pop Rocks thing, but hey, I still got a couple of years left in me. Talking text line 651. No, I'm just kidding.
I was several years into my 20s before I finally let go of the fact that it wasn't just my high school, but it was just, everything was not what you thought. Hollywood had ruined my ideas. Because I remember summer before senior year, I remember going to see Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And I remember being depressed, like, none of these girls are at my school. That no one's this cool. No one's this hot. No one's this funny. No one's this. And then I realized, years later, like, oh, yeah, well, they were all 27-year-old actors. There's a reason that high school wasn't quite that great. And of course now, I look at those people now and I think they look like children. So, that's what I get for sticking around this long. What's the worst thing you ever did? I shared a bizarre story. Zepp had one. Ryder, ever have any moments with an ex where you look back and go, probably could have handled that one a little better?
No, I'm a good Scandinavian who's devoid of feelings and never really took it that far. I did have one time I was kind of irritated with a boyfriend, and this is a radio thing. We were in college at Radio K dating, and I gave him the, hey man, we're going to need to have a talk after your shift.
Oh.
So the last song that he played was the Buzzcocks, Ever Fallen in Love with Somebody You Shouldn't Have Fallen in Love With. And I was like, damn it, Pete.
Yeah.
You jerk.
You couldn't believe you got tipped off by that, huh?
Now we're back to that Pop Rocks oral sex thing now with the Buzzcocks.
With that, fair enough.
Sorry. It's on my mind now.
Didn't see that one coming. On the KQRS Facebook page, Bob shared, my ex smashed my new truck windshield in. Me being the gent I am, I waited for her to leave a local bar. I called cops and said there's a driver all over the road. She got pulled over, free pass to jail. Damn straight, Bob.
Revenge, a dish best served by the police, it turns out. Yeah.
Apparently so.
What about the city of Babbitt here? Pooped in my shampoo bottle. Babbitt, what's going on up there?
Wait, hold on. Someone pooped in every shampoo bottle in the whole city of Babbitt? Or is this just... Wow, very impressive.
It's not a big city. Up there by Embarrass, Minnesota. I know that, yeah, because I went fishing up there one time. I got lost, I got lost. Ended up in a logging road and got stuck.
Ooh.
The city of Babbitt pooped in my shampoo bottle. I mean, that would ruin the lather, wouldn't it?
Hang on now. What brand are we talking about? Is that a wide mouth bottle of shampoo? I'm just curious. I mean, and putting the poo in shampoo. I mean, if nothing else.
I mean, yeah, you got to get it right up against the balloon nut, don't you?
Golly,
that work.
Neil on the Facebook page. Man, I relate to this one. She kept my favorite sweatshirt. I loved that thing. I still mourn its loss. Yeah,
right.
We've all lost clothes in the deal, and yeah, that does suck, man.
Yeah.
My sister gave me a T-shirt when I was in high school. She lived in Washington D.C. and it was a T-shirt of the D.C. subway, the metro in D.C. It was just a T-shirt of the map.
Yeah,
and it said I'd be lost without my shirt. Just a touristy shirt, and she just gave it to me. But I loved the shirt, and by the way, I loved it for the same reason I love any shirt. I just like the way it fit.
Yeah.
I look back at photos of myself, especially in my 20s, and go, what am I wearing? And then I remember, oh, yeah, I just loved how it felt.
Just fit.
Like, I don't care. It just fit right. I liked it. It did, and so I loved that shirt. And, I broke up with a girl, and probably a month went by before I recognized, like, hey, wait, where's my shirt? And it was gone, never to be seen again. And then she had the stones to look me dead in the eye and go, I don't know what you're talking about. She didn't say I don't have it. She said, I don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, the shirt I wore once a week for a year? Yeah, you don't know. And to this day, she's never copped to it. I mean, I haven't talked to her in 30 years, but she still never got a hold of me. I'm on Facebook. She could reach out after all this time and say, sorry about the shirt, but no.
If I was her, I just would wear that shirt in as many Facebook photos as possible. What shirt are you talking about? Oh, yeah, I hate breaking up with a good shirt. Aaron on the talk and text line, my ex drained my bank account. Ooh.
Oh, man.
Well, I mean, that's happened to a lot of us. Yeah, usually legally they can do that with a lawyer.
I no names, but I know somebody whose ex not only drained the bank account, but opened new accounts in their name alone and then ran up the charges. Like,
damn.
She ran the money and she took all the money and then some before she split. That's a
hell hath no fury.
Yeah. That's
crafty.
It's a pretty real deal right there. To your point, Ryder, you said you're Scandinavian, therefore you don't have any feelings or emotions. As an Irish Catholic, I have them. I just suppress them down. Just shove them down. It's like the old Bill Burr thing. You shove them down, you shove them down, you shove them down, and then you die.
Yeah.
And that's
called being stoic.
Yeah. Is that what they call it?
That's what we call it here. Yep.
Yeah. I always see those books on stoicism, and I'm like, please.
Yeah.
Come on. I don't need to read up on it. That's what's going on here.
I know, and I'm German. I just save it for on the air.
And we love that.
When I'm off the show, just happy-go-lucky. Not a care in the world. Clock strikes 6, and it's time to work through some shit.
I just know that I will never, and I do see this happen probably once a year. My wife will go, I think I'm going to get some Skittles. I'll be paying more attention next time.
So make sure she finishes them.
That's what I'm going to say.
And she starts bringing them out. Partially sucked Skittles.
It's going to be a weird one. Greg Harris, CEO and president of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, has gotten tied up. We're still hoping to hear from him, but we don't have him on the horn just yet. I imagine he's got a few things on his plate right now. But as we await Greg Harris's call, we just heard from the Cars, and before that, Journey. That's two artists who are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I believe the Cars went in 18, and Journey the year before in 17. And before that, Lenny Kravitz, who's been nominated but not inducted yet. This year's class of Rock and Roll Hall of Famers, 8 first-time nominees. Bad Company, The Black Crowes, Chubby Checker, Joe Cocker, Billy Idol, Mana, Outkast, and Fish. One artist who has been nominated before and was not put in is Mariah Carey. And let me just go ahead and make the case.
Yeah.
Okay?
For Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
Okay.
220 million records sold worldwide. And has the most popular Christmas song of all time. I'm just saying, she's just such a part of the entire fabric of popular music for the last 30 plus years. it's one of those where I know people's immediate reaction is, oh, come on, what are you, crazy? But no, I think it makes perfect sense. All right, Greg's on the horn right now. Greg Harris, President and CEO of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Good morning, Greg.
Good morning. Is this Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominee Steve Gorman?
Greg, as a matter of fact, it is. I was curious when you looked at the list of nominees if anybody jumped off the page. Maybe a little rock band from Atlanta, Georgia got your attention.
Hell yes. This is really terrific. I know, you've been kind enough to have me on over the last few years with our nominees and our inductees and announcements and things. But it's a little different this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
You guys mind? My name's Zepp. Good morning, Greg, and thanks for joining us again. I've been on all of these interviews that you've been on, and I haven't really piped up. But I know Steve won't do this, so can you please let him in? We could really use this. It would be a nice ratings boost. I mean, how do you feel about Minnesota Wild hockey tickets? We got a suite, man. I mean, it's. I'll buy you some beers. Just whatever you can do is all I'm saying. Shameless begging. No, I'm teasing.
I love it. That's a great Minnesota offer. I'll come up. We'll hit the hockey game and maybe do a little ice fishing. What do you say?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We got plenty of ice around here.
Well, I lived in upstate New York for years, so no stranger to the ice hut or riding sled. So.
Hey, Greg, we've asked you this before. Forgive me for not remembering all the specific answers, but to come up with a class of nominees, and this year, like I said, 8 first-time nominees to go with a few on their second and third time around. How long is the process to whittle it down to just get to 14 because of the well over 1,000 people who are, artists, historians, and professionals who are voting? I got to think way more than 14 names get up on that chalkboard.
They do. And, the process is there's a nominating committee, and the nominating committee met in January. And in that room, there's about 25 people. Everybody proposes 2.
Okay.
And you go around the room and people advocate for why they feel their choices should be on the ballot. Remember, this is just to make the ballot to be nominated. And everybody really lays it out well, and it's an amazing sort of dialogue and discourse. And there are within the room you can double down and endorse somebody's picks. And there's a lot of great artists named, but potentially there's 50 names at that point out of the universe of the millions that have made music. And you whittle those ones down to a manageable size ballot, and that's what we have now. And when a band makes that final ballot, it's this year it's the Black Crowes, it's Bad Company, Joe Cocker, Billy Idol, Mana, Outkast, Fish. They're all the new nominees.
Mm-hmm.
And Chubby Checker has never been nominated. This guy's been making records since the early 60s. And previously nominated Joy Division, New Order, Cyndi Lauper, Oasis, Soundgarden, Mariah Carey, White Stripes. Think of those that were close. And there's a ton of great bands, and we all know that, tons of great artists that were talked about but just didn't make that final list. And this year, the Black Crowes for the first time go on this, and this ballot then goes out to that voting body you talked about 1,200 people. All the other inductees vote. So the members of, the Chili Peppers all vote, Springsteen votes, Smokey Robinson votes, and when they all come back, the top vote getters are then elected to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Okay, can you slide me Smokey's phone number? I got to do a little campaigning. I met him at a Kentucky Derby party once. I'm sure he remembers me.
You joke, but I'm curious about that with the Oscars coming up next weekend. Now, we know that they campaign. That's a Hollywood thing. They campaign to get an Oscar award. This isn't Oscars. This is the Hall of Fame. Is there any campaigning that's allowed or done?
There really isn't. It's an interesting thing. And it might be because it's career achievement, and there isn't. Either they are aware and it was impactful and they felt it, or not. And let's think about I think Robert Plant's going to be voting for you guys. All right,
nice. Yeah. Uncle Bob coming in strong. Yeah,
and everybody that knows him and loves his music and sees that there's a respect there. For somebody that is considered elite to play with others means that they are also of that caliber, and there's a recognition. So even if they don't know all of your albums, they said, wow, that's a hell of an endorsement.
Yeah.
But they will know your music. You guys made great music, and you earned this nomination. It's not by luck, and the same factors that got you nominated will come into play when the voting happens with the wider body.
Well, I've said for years, we're first ballot Hall of Famers on the woulda, coulda, shoulda Hall of Fame. So this is a real pleasant surprise. I got to ask if I can go a little behind that curtain. Did my varying hairstyles over the years tip the scales at all? I did try to shake it up from record to record, and I always thought that's one way I was, hey, come on, look what I'm willing to do here for my art.
Yeah, well, there's probably a haircut Hall of Fame somewhere.
Nice.
And Wayne Cochran from the CC Riders would be in that Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Little Richard, and but no, the truth is, in that room, it's interesting. People talk about the band's impact and influence. All those that came after a band that were impacted by them, who were their influences, and where do they fit in it? And in that room, we don't listen to music, and we don't look at photos. There isn't like a slideshow to make your presentation. You literally, it's sort of like you talk about why they belong and why they were impactful and influential. It's a really healthy educational discussion for everybody.
All those haircuts for nothing. All right. I mean, better to know than to question for the rest of my life. I appreciate your honesty.
Think of how many people pinned your photos up on their walls because of that look.
That's very true. Along with, did you ever take a look at it? What's wrong with that guy? What's he going through? What's with the hair? Hey, Greg, I do want to get your thoughts on another band, which because a lot of Americans sort of missed the boat on just how enormous Oasis is. I think this year's tour has sort of reminded them. But Oasis, I guess I'm not even asking a question, but I'm just stating, arguably the biggest band who's come out since 1994 on planet Earth. Would you say that's a fair statement?
Hands down. And the biggest UK band since the Beatles, really. They are massive. In the UK, when somebody's playing acoustic guitar in a pub, they're playing Oasis songs.
Yeah.
When people are at a wedding getting married, they're playing Oasis songs, and everybody's singing along. And they put their tour dates on sale earlier this year, and the number I saw was they sold something like 1.5 million tickets as quickly as the system would take them.
Right.
They sold out 20 shows immediately. They are massive, and they kind of are an interesting band because they, in the great rock and roll tradition, they kind of at their height they sort of dissolved, and they were at this crazy, wildly popular space. And a little bit like, I think like your band, is they were really music first, and they lived it fully. It wasn't what the A&R people were saying. It wasn't what the marketers were saying. It was what they wanted to play, and it was all about the fans. It was really pretty amazing. There's a neat a film about them that's out, and it's worth watching. But they were really massive, massive, massive.
Greg Harris, President and CEO of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's a pleasure to have you on, as always, sir. We will catch up to you hopefully after the inductees this year are announced. And believe it when I tell you, I hope to see you soon, brother.
Well, I hope so, too. The inductions are going to be in the fall in Los Angeles. And, good luck with all of it. And I hope to see you out there for the induction. But congratulations on being nominated this first time, and really it's a testament to the band and to your part of it, and let's see where it lands.
Right on. Thanks as always, Greg. We appreciate your time.
My best. See ya.
See ya.
Geez, Steve, I thought that was just the right amount of butt kissing. I mean, really, I think hey, and you brought up Mariah Carey seriously before this about getting nominated, how huge she's been. And this is really a music Hall of Fame, but it's called the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Right.
And it's all about those achievements. But I sincerely hope that she does get in this year, and so do the Black Crowes, because I want to see that collaboration on stage at the end of the show. Yeah, I want to see Mariah Carey up there right next to you on the drum kit, man.
I trust me when I say I look forward to nothing more. That jam with Mariah, man. Listen, and I've mentioned it before, and I'm still a little bitter over that whole Best New Artist Grammy thing she took from us.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right. There's some bad blood there. Maybe it'll go wrong on stage. I love those. By the way, rockhall.com is where you vote, the fan vote. It doesn't really count for a lot. We've talked about that before, but it's good for morale. I'm still doing it as well. Black Crowes are in the top 10. They are beating Oasis, by the way, and Mariah Carey, but not Chubby Checker. Let's see if we can't move the Crows past Chubby Checker into that number 7 spot. Rockhall.com.
We just never had our twist. You know what I mean? We just needed that one. We always needed that one. We never quite got there. Hey, 92 KQRS would love to send you to see Pearl Jam's Dark Matter Tour 2025 in Nashville this spring. Enter to win round-trip airfare, a 2-night stay, premium tickets, and Dark Matter lounge passes, plus Record Store Day vinyl and other Pearl Jam merch for this exclusive tour. That's for you and a friend. Text the national keyword GONE to 95819. The top 5 at 9 coming up. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. It's the KQ Morning Show on Minnesota's Classic Rock, 92 KQRS.
Listen to Ozzy Osbourne rocking the crazy train. His first single as a solo artist. Nobody saw that coming, and 40-plus years later, still one of the great rehab jobs on a career. Second only to Aerosmith, probably, what Ozzy was able to accomplish. Like, in the ditch, pulling it together, getting it all, back on track. So, well done, Oswald Osborne, as I like to call him. Let's get to your top 5 at 9, why don't we? Ozzy Osbourne, a huge part of his success is the fact that Sharon Osbourne has managed his career, not just his life, but his career. She's pretty cagey. She knows the business as well as anybody, and she has always steered the ship remarkably well. Sharon Osbourne recently, in an interview, though, did admit to one massive mistake as she looks back on her career managing Oswald.
Do you want to know the biggest mistake I ever made with Ozzy? He got offered to go and read for Pirates of the Caribbean. And I've never said this to anyone. I said no. Now, wouldn't he have been perfect?
He would have been perfect.
I know.
So Captain Teague, the part that they asked Ozzy to come in and read for, ultimately played by Keith Richards.
Yeah,
and now, if memory serves, Johnny Depp based his character from the very beginning on Keith. He was basically playing an exaggerated Keith Richards to begin with.
I think he said drunk Keith Richards.
Wow, that's redundant.
That's Keith Richards. And so that makes sense so, I mean, that's why when Keith came in, no one thought twice about it. But this is interesting to imagine Ozzy having played a part in the film. I can only imagine what that would have been like.
I'm Captain Jack Sparrow.
I'm Ozzy Osbourne, and I'm the Prince of Darkness.
I'm Picky Picky. I'm Mincy Wincy.
You have to eat other things in order to get that, you know what I mean?
Have you now?
I know you're full on the phone for being a bad boy.
But why is the rum gone?
You blew the show again!
Say lom shup shup sha smarmy lom the shuku. Bollicky licky, savvy?
There would have been a few of those Sharons every day on set. I would imagine the producers of the Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End were relieved when they found out that Keith Richards was on hand, because there's only one guy you'd say, well, Keith is going to be more reliable than him, right? And that would have been Ozzy Osbourne.
I mean, but Keith wasn't. He wasn't around till at least the second, or was it the third one? Probably the second one. So I'm assuming that she turned. I thought she probably turned Ozzy down for the first one, because after the first one, it's the biggest movie in the world, and now it's a franchise, and it's Disney and Johnny Depp and the whole thing. That's not when you turn it down, because that's a sure payday. I think they originally were thinking about him in the Orlando Bloom character. You know,
Yeah.
Don't you think?
That makes perfect sense. The young
Pretty boy
romantic.
love interest.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure Keira Knightley heard they were thinking of casting Oz, and her response was, "I'm sorry, who's Ozzy Osbourne?"
Oh yeah, well.
Hey, speaking of Ozzy, he's got a legal battle going on right now. Apparently, Ozzy posted some photos on social media, and he's being sued for posting those photos. Those photos, by the way, are of Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
He doesn't own photos of himself?
Not all of them. A photographer from Los Angeles named Niels Lozauer says, hey, I own the photos, and they were posted without my permission. Niels Lozauer, I've known the man for 35 years. He is an all-time... Oh, he's one of those rock photographers who's shot everybody. I mean, one of the... If not, I do think it was the very first photo shoot in L.A. the Black Crowes ever had was with Niels Lozauer. So I've known him since... January of 90. That's when we met. And he has taken pictures of my band all over the world. He's one of those guys, been around forever. And he keeps very close tabs on his photographs. If you don't buy them from him, they're his. And if you use them, you get a letter from his attorney. And I, as well, he should. I mean, that's his trade.
Business, yeah.
That's exactly what it is. And Zloz, as he's known, goes deep. If you're posting Zlo's photos, look out, man. He's got watchdogs combing the internet.
Figure that one out.
He said Ozzy has reaped significant financial benefits from his social accounts, and I should be paid for the use of my photos. And on this, I say, yeah, you should. They're your pictures. Yeah. If someone takes your picture and you want it, you got to buy it right then, or it's theirs for life. That's how that works.
Yeah, figure it out quick. Don't give it all to the lawyers.
Zepp, I noticed you take a lot of pictures of me and Ryder during the show. And
Is that cool?
I thought that was just you being friends, but now I'm starting to think, wait a minute, what's going on here?
That's for my own personal use.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Number 4 in your top 5 at 9, because I don't want to know what you're doing with those photos. Hey, how about this? How many times in life have we all woken up in the morning and you're like, I'm hungover and I'm really hungry, and hey, there's that pizza from last night that I didn't finish.
Oh, yeah.
If that pizza has been in the fridge, I take it out. I eat it. I don't heat it up. I don't try to reheat it because it never works. I'm a fan of cold pizza, and probably by necessity, because you ruin it when you nuke it.
Yeah.
However, there's a video on TikTok that says there's a way to get that pizza right back to the just out of the oven feeling and taste and texture. And here it is.
The best way to reheat your pizza. If you dunk your pizza in water before air frying or microwaving it, it turns out just as fresh as when you bought it. Let's dunk it into the water, now into the air fryer. All right, I put it in for 3 minutes. It's definitely feeling crispier on the crust. Let's do a taste test. It tastes exactly how it tasted last night, fresh from the box.
All right, well, she air fried it, which is, I think better than probably nuking it, which just turns it to rubber. You get that, lava hot tip. It's cold in the middle, and then the rubbery crust. But it says, I'm looking at the entire video, which is a little too long to run. It said it works just as well in the microwave. Very curious because, I don't know, I ate a lot of pizza.
It's troubling to me. I like the result. I like to think that it works, but watching a woman take a slice of pizza and put it completely underwater in a bowl of water, it really upsets me. It's like chewing foil.
Yeah, it bothered me when she first did it. I'm like, and the key is, if you're listening out there, you can't soak it. It's a dunk.
Yeah.
Don't drop it in there like a cracker in your soup and let it get all nice and soaky like the toast and the hot chocolate. You just dunk it and pull it out. Just get it a little wet, I guess. And, already here. Okay, I got a message from another Steve.
Mm-hmm.
I use a water bottle and spray it. All right. Well,
okay. Well,
same.
No,
all right.
why
Okay.
are you
All right.
doing
Hydrating
you
that.
don't need to reheat the pizza. It's in its most perfect state when it is cold and has been in the fridge from the night before. And why are we taking pizza advice from somebody who's in like Australia or New Zealand? Because they don't know crap about pizza.
Wow.
Like we do here in Minnesota. The home of pizza. Right here. Well,
you're supposed to pronounce it Minnesota.
I don't know. I like that pizza luce slice right off the rack. That's pretty good. But
don't get me
you're
started.
right.
They're very familiar with the Gorman address. Let me tell you,
yeah.
that's a late night staple. We unfortunately uncovered that one early on in our Minnesota in the Minnesota years, as we're not calling them, as we're in year 3 of eating way too much pizza. Number 3 on your top 5 at 9. Come on, you February freaks. Admit it. Cabin fever gets the best of us, and we all end up in the sack. And I know that because the Consumer Product Safety Commission says February has the second most sex injuries of any month on the calendar. More people heading to the hospital with a sex injury this month than any other, except for July. Now, July, the humidity and the heat and the jungle fever, they call it. I think that adds up to the same thing. I don't know what else to do other than just get it on. But February, it's cold. The fireplace is beckoning. There's way too much bourbon in certain people like myself's homes. And next thing you know, sex injuries. The top 5 sex injuries at hospitals this month. Okay. Number 1 will be getting something stuck somewhere in your body.
Well, that's not a sex injury. That's someone who's fallen down on something.
That's very true. Number two is cuts.
That was a weird one.
That's a weird one.
Yeah.
Number three, rug burns, rope burns, or other abrasions.
That makes perfect
kinky.
sense. Yeah.
Number 4, strains and sprains.
Well, I'm at that age.
Yeah. And number 5, internal organ injuries. Good God almighty, people.
Wow, that's combat sex right there. I'm going to add a 6, carpal tunnel. I mean, if you're single, doesn't mean that. It's just get a little in the wrist. I need a tennis ball.
Internal organ injuries, to me, that implies a whole system of levers and pulleys and way too much work. I just think gravity's involved. You know what I mean? Is that my spleen? It's problematic.
I told a story earlier. I'm not going to bust him again because I did receive a rather terse text from my buddy about this, whose sex swing went down in the bedroom. Because I mean, if you got to put it up there in a stud when you hang it up there. Of course, it'll hold the sex swing, but it's got to hold the body weight. But hurt his tailbone. That's right. He was in the sex swing. But I mean, like you said, it's February. We're going a little nuts. There's a lot of that. Hey, honey, you know what we should try? And then, off to the emergency room.
And there we go. Number 2 on your top 5 at 9. The Four Nations final tonight in Boston between the U.S. and Canada. This is the hottest sports ticket of the year. It costs $1,000 minimum for the cheapest seat in the house. Lower level tickets going for well over $3,000. If you want to be on the glass, $5,000 to $6,000. Good God Almighty! Just days after that last matchup that had 3 fights in the first 9 seconds.
It's hockey, baby.
How great was that? That's real hockey. That's U.S. versus Canada hockey. The final tonight. Please, guys, let's go for 4 fights right off the opening faceoff. Just as soon as that puck drops, everyone turn and punch the nearest guy to you from the other side.
Let's
Can we
get
just
a goalie
agree?
fight going, too.
Oh,
please.
Ryder, don't tease me with the goalie fight now.
Is it too much to ask?
No, it's not too much to ask, but I have a prediction. I don't think they're going to come out fist of fury. I think it's going to get there. Where they came out and they just, put on let's get this out of our system right now, and then we'll get down to some hockey. Yep. I think today it builds. I think we'll see some scrappers. I don't like that McAvoy is out of this one. I don't like it a lot, but $1,000, I don't know if I'd pay the $1,000 for the ticket to see the rematch so close, It'd be like Russia of the United States in 1980 getting together 5 days later. But, because they would have whooped us probably.
Yeah, they would have.
But I would pay $1,000 to get the Boston crowd together with that Montreal crowd in the rink, for a battle royale. I'd pay $1,000 to sit on the glass and watch the fans that will gather in Boston for the good old USA and those Montreal crazy Canucks up there go at it. But it should be a wild one.
Line them up on the Peace Bridge at the Buffalo border crossing, and whoever's got more people on the bridge at the end of that Donnybrook wins.
Oh man,
that'd be fantastic. Hey, want to give a quick shout out to our friends in Becker, Minnesota. Glad to have you with us this morning. And now you're number 1 on your top 5 at 9. Delta Airlines offered every passenger on Flight 4819, that's the one that crash landed in Toronto earlier this week, they've offered every passenger $30,000 straight up cash and said in their announcement, this has no strings attached and does not affect rights. So
I don't buy it.
Well, I'm not sure what to think of it, but I do know that this came to mind. For 30 grand, would you strap into a flight that you knew might roll over on landing? And this is why, because I knew two people that would absolutely do it without hesitation. Two kids I grew up with would be like, are you kidding? Yeah, I'll go. Johnny Wildman Walker and Ronald Babb. Either one of those guys. Johnny Walker was the guy who would eat lizards for $1.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
What's that? Salamander. I'll give you $1 to eat it. It'd be gone before you produce the cash. And then Ronald Babb was a kid who would, we used to get paddled at school. Teachers could pull out paddles and give you licks in the state of Kentucky.
Yeah.
In the uncommon wealth of Kentucky. And and Ronald Babb would do it. We'd do it for money. We'd say, hey, man, go get a lick for $0.25. And then the teacher would say something, and he would speak out of turn. And she'd go, Ronald, and he would just walk up and smile. She'd whip his ass. I got every time I got a lick, it was all I could do not to cry. It hurt like hell. Yeah. And he would just take it and grit his teeth and be like, yeah, man, hand it over. And he would just licks for cash.
Licks for cash. All right. Well, I said, when this happened, if I knew no one was going to get hurt, seriously injured, maybe a sprained finger or something, some hurt feelings, it'd be kind of cool to put it on the roof and see how that might go. $30,000 for this. I mean, the thing is, with these airline accidents and tragedies, we don't see a lot of lawsuits. We don't hear about it a lot. So I think that disclaimer that must be, 5 stories high in the fine print must be pretty locked down. So my inclination would be to take it. That and knowing what I know about the legal system when it comes to lawsuits, the lawyers end up with most of the money. So, 30 G's, walk away with 30 G's. I think I'd be apt to take it. But after I talk to my lawyer buddy.
If I went back to them with anything, I'd say, literally cash in brown paper bags. Okay, now we're talking. Now we're talking. There's your top 5 at 9 for Thursday, February the 20th. We got to get out of this place. That's what the song says anyway, and we do got to roll. But before we go, we still got a long day ahead of us, guys. What's on the agenda, Ryder? What's the rest of your day looking like?
Well, I might watch a little boxing match tonight.
And the gloves are on.
Round 2.
It took me half a second. I was like, really? What bout are you talking? Oh, that's right. The U.S.-Canada border skirmish.
Yes, my hang-up on this is that the Eagles Club has bingo tonight, so I'm going to need to find a whole alternate bar to watch this at.
They don't
Somebody
do both?
with the sound on. Well, it'll be on the TV, but you got to be real quiet during bingo. You know the rules. Everybody's got to be able to hear the caller.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
All right.
I am taking suggestions. Anybody you think will have the game with sound on, 651-989-ROCK.
It's important.
You'd have to truck it over to St. Paul for Bennett's, but I know you want to stay a little closer to home. I'll give it some thought. Maybe I'll text you later.
All right, good deal.
Zepp, hockey tonight or anything else you want to mention?
You know what I'm doing today? I'm pissing Ryder off again.
Nice.
That's what I like to do. No, you know what I'm going to do? Because she likes pizza cold in its perfect form, and I get it.
Yep.
I was young once. I'm going to put the new pizza hack to the test today. I'm ordering a pizza.
Right.
I already got the app open. It's going to meet me at the door when I get there. I will enjoy it nice and hot and steamy in its fresh state. And then by dinner time, I'm going to be dunking a piece of pizza in the water to reheat it. I'll let you know in the morning.
Exciting.
Very excited.
Follow-up for the both of you. We often get somebody, and I blanket on their name, texting in about throwing a frozen pizza on the grill, in tinfoil. Have either of you done that yet?
Never.
Yes, because it came up some years ago, and some KQ listeners were like, "You've got to do this, man." And I forget where I was at, but one of those weekend up north kind of deals, and someone got it out, and by God, it was as good as advertised, if not better. Now I'm thinking about that today, but first things first. But get the frozen pizza on the grill.
It's warm enough to grill.
I know, but now I've got this other pizza hack. There's only so many pizzas I can eat in one day.
Really?
Despite what my gut is telling me.
It's a letdown.
Steve, what are you up to, man?
I mentioned earlier that today it's 20 years since we lost Hunter S. Thompson, my favorite writer of all time. So among the many things I will flip through, every 4 years I read from cover to cover Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail to remind myself that it's the same story with different names every 4 years. And today I'm going to read the old Scanlon's article. The Kentucky Derby is decadent and depraved. You can Google it. You can find it very easily.
Why don't you send me a link and I'll share it with everyone?
That's a great idea. I'm going to share a quick paragraph. So he does the setup. He explains the late night arrival in Louisville for the Kentucky Derby. And then this is what follows. This is what leads you into the story of the weekend. Beyond drink and lack of sleep, our only real problem at that point was the question of access to the clubhouse. Finally, we decided just to go ahead and steal 2 passes, if necessary, rather than miss that part of the action. This was the last coherent decision we were able to make for the next 48 hours. From that point on, almost from the very moment we started out to the track, we lost all control of events and spent the rest of the weekend just churning around in a sea of drunken horrors. And that, my friends, is the beginning. I will send you the link, and I would advise everybody who's got an extra 10 or 12 minutes today to take a few with the good doctor.
Of course.
Yes, sir.
All right, tomorrow on the show, Kevin Cronin, he of REO Speedwagon, and now of Kevin Cronin will be calling in. Chris Porter, a great comedian and a good friend of mine who will be at Acme all weekend. He's already there. He'll be stopping by, and we'll give away some Paul Simon tickets. That's how much we love you guys. Chris Nelson's up next with your shot for tickets to Monster Jam. Hang tight.
Get the KQ Morning Show podcast wherever you listen. 92 KQRS.